Today, we have to discuss about the application of DNA sequencing in genomics. So during this lecture, during this presentation, I will discuss some that is more aspects about DNA sequencing. Nowadays, we are using at least two different major types of DNA sequencing. One is called as Sanger DNA sequencing method, and the second is called as next generation DNA sequencing method. So during this lecture, we will discuss. I will revise again some aspects of Sanger DNA sequencing as well as the next generation DNA sequencing method, which is also called as new generation DNA sequencing method. So starting from the slide. So starting from the central dogma of molecular biology. Central dogma of molecular biology, as we know, describes that DNA provides information for RNA synthesis, and RNA provides information for protein synthesis, and protein then perform different function. There is another important aspect is the polymeric organization of macromolecules in biological systems. Polymeric, we know that proteins and DNA and RNA, that is nucleic acids and polysaccharides, that is polysaccharide, the sugars are basically polymers of small organic compounds, organic and inorganic compounds. Amino acids are proteins are polymers of amino acids, and nucleic acids are polymers of nucleotides, and polysaccharides are polymers of sugars, simple sugars, small organic compounds. So the polymeric organization is an important aspect in the structural and functional characteristics of the biomolecules. And the concept of sequence of nucleotides in nucleic acids and concept of sequence of amino acids in proteins is at the center stage of biomolecular processes. It is an important aspect, that is what is the sequence of amino acid in protein and what is the sequence of nucleotide in the DNA and RNA. It is very important and basic aspects of biomolecular processes. It is like the alphabets, because alphabets is basic requirement for any language, and the arrangement of alphabets in the language is important. If we change the arrangement of alphabets, the meaning or wording would be changed, will be changed. Okay, so this is the reason. So that is the sequence and the identity of nucleotide, and the sequence of nucleotide in DNA is basically at the center stage of biomolecular processes. Therefore, we can say that answers of many questions we ask in biology, we can get those answers in the sequence of nucleotides in DNA and RNA and sequence of amino acids in proteins. And as we know that the sequence of amino acid in proteins are basically derived from the sequence of nucleotide in DNA and RNA. Basically, there is a translation of sequence of nucleotide into the sequence of amino acid in protein. We have studied this in the course on molecular biology, as well as we studied in biochemistry 1 and biochemistry 2 courses. Now, so what I wanted to explain over here, the importance of the sequence of nucleotide in DNA. And we know that the genome is primarily comprised of DNA molecule. This is the reason that the sequence of nucleotide is in DNA is important in the structure and function of the genome of living organisms. Another concept is the mutations. Another important thing in genomics is mutations. Mutation is basically change in the DNA sequence. Mutation is changes in the sequence. As written over here, that the mutation is an important event during our life. Mutation is an important event that occurring change in the DNA sequence is an important event during life processes. And this mutation in the DNA is major cause of diversity on this planet. Everywhere we see diversity on Earth, diversity in plants, diversity in animals, diversity in human beings. We are all human beings, but we are different from each other. On Earth there is a diverse population, and this is because of the mutation changes in the DNA of human being. From one generation to another generation, change in the DNA sequence in one population compared to another population, and so on. And this mutation is also play an important role in many diseases. So the pathological condition of many diseases are basically because of the mutation in the DNA, that is change in the DNA sequences. How mutations occur, why the modification in the DNA happens in the DNA molecule. This is because of the modification during DNA replication. What is DNA replication? DNA replication, as we know, is the DNA replication is a synthesis of DNA from DNA. A DNA molecule copies itself into another molecule. We call it replication of DNA. During DNA, and we know that DNA replication is carried out by DNA polymerases in the cell, in our nucleus of our cells and other organisms. So the DNA, so the DNA, due to error caused by DNA polymerases, mutations occur. Changes in the DNA sequences because of the error carried out by DNA polymerase. So this is basically the basis of DNA mutation during the DNA replication. इसका मतलब ये है कि अगर कहीं पर डीएनए पॉलीमरेज को ए लगाना है, एडेनिन न्यूक्लियोटाइड लगाना है, गलती से उसने वहां पर साइटोसिन न्यूक्लियोटाइड लगा दिया, तो दिस इज बेसिकली a mutation because of the error carried out by DNA polymerase during DNA replication, during replication process. Okay, What type of DNA mutations are there? Can be there. There are different type of DNA mutation. One of the major type of DNA mutation, very common, well studied, is called as point mutation. It is also called as single nucleotide polymorphism, and nowadays it is also called as single nucleotide variants. Single nucleotide variant, SNV or SNP. Previously we used to say SNP, but now it is more correctly can be called as SNV. When one nucleotide is changed into another nucleotide, as over here you see that in the DNA sequence, A is here in this position. When this DNA is duplicated as a process of replication, there should be A over here, but because of the mistake carried out by the RNA polymerase, DNA polymerase, instead of A, G is incorporated. So instead of A, G is incorporated. So this is a mutation. A mutation occurs. A point mutation occurs when one base pair is changed to another base pair. Another type of this is the point mutation we have discussed. Another mutation which can occur in DNA sequences is called as duplicate sequence, in which one sequence is duplicated after the sequence. Say, for example, if we have A and C, sorry, A and C and T, for example, ACT, when A, अगर आपको आवाज नहीं आ रही है तो ये आपके शायद माइक का कोई मसला होगा, आपके कंप्यूटर के सॉफ्टवेयर का मसला होगा, क्योंकि मेरा ये ख्याल है कि सबको आवाज आ रही है. Am I correct? सबको आवाज आ रही है मेरी? जी, फिरजा ने बताया, और भी लोग बता रहे हैं कि आवाज आ रही है. तो अगर कोई किसी को अगर आवाज नहीं आ रही तो आप अपने एंड पर चेक करें अपने माइक को, तो इंशाल्लाह आवाज आ जाएगी आपको, या आपका कनेक्शन में प्रॉब्लम हो सकता है, कनेक्शन को चेक कर लीजिए प्लीज. ओके, सो वी रिज्यूम. So ACT is basically duplicated by again another ACT. Another ACT, A and C and T. So this would be called as a duplication. A sequence is duplicated. There is another type of mutation which is called as inverted sequence. It is called as inversion. When one sequence of DNA is inverted, उलट जाती है sequence. For example, if we have ACT sequence, ACT, if it is inverted, then it would be after ATC. It can be TCA. So the sequence is inverted. And there is another important type of mutation which is called as insertion or deletion. Insertion or deletion. In insertion, one or more than one nucleotide is inserted into the DNA sequence, or one or more nucleotides are deleted. Deletion or insertion. Deletion and insertion. Say, for example, if you have a sequence called A, C, T. So after insertion a G, we can have A, C, G, and T. A, C, G, T. It means that the G nucleotide is inserted between C and T. So this is an insertion. And if we have deletion of C, for example, so after A we will have T. So we can say that the C is deleted. The C nucleotide is deleted. The C nucleotide is deleted. So either one or more than one nucleotide are deleted in case of deletion of nucleotide, or one or more nucleotide are inserted in case of insertion. And this insertion or deletion or inversion or duplication or point mutation can be described by comparing the sequence with the reference sequences, and then we can say that the mutation occurs. Mutation is present. So this is important. I think it is clear for you. Okay. Now, so because the sequence of DNA is important, and because the mutation is important, and because determining the mutation in the DNA sequence experimentally is important for many reasons in genomics, this is the reason it is important to do the DNA sequencing to determine the DNA sequence experimentally in the lab. Okay. So there were a lot of experiments, a lot of efforts carried out in order to devise methods for DNA sequencing. The breakthrough year was in 1977. 1977, when two groups simultaneously, two different groups working in different labs in different countries, simultaneously reported methods, two different methods for DNA sequencing. The Sanger group reported method, and they named that method as dideoxy chain termination method. And the Gilbert group reported another method which is called as chemical degradation method. Somehow, since 1977, Sanger DNA sequencing method being used because of several reasons for DNA sequencing. And during the previous class, last week, we have already studied the DNA sequencing of how to do DNA sequencing using the Sanger method. Okay. And there are several videos in YouTube, very intelligently described videos in which they describe the basis principle of the Sanger DNA sequencing method. Since 1997 up to 2008, more than 87, 97, and 2007, 30 years, Sanger DNA sequencing method was used for DNA sequencing. Then in 2008, another type of sequencing method introduced commercially in the market for and that method, we call that method as next generation DNA sequencing method. Next generation DNA sequencing method. The principle of next generation DNA sequencing is quite different from the principle of Sanger DNA sequencing, dideoxy DNA sequencing. It is very quite different, and it uses improved enzymes and different chemistry principle for DNA sequencing, and improved image processing, which was not available in the time of Sanger in 1970s and 1980s. Okay, so so the first generation of DNA sequencing is called as Sanger DNA sequencing method, and the second generation of DNA sequencing method commonly called as next generation DNA sequencing method. Okay, and the next generation DNA sequencing method was introduced. It's more than 12, 13 years back, 11, 12 years back. Still, we are using Sanger sequencing method, but mostly for genome sequencing, for complete genome sequencing or genome layer DNA sequencing, next generation is widely used. Next generation DNA sequencing is widely used. If you have any question, you can ask the chat box, or I will then go forward. So, for Sanger sequencing, I will repeat basic aspects of Sanger sequencing briefly. During this lecture, we have studied Sanger sequencing in the previous class last week. Sanger DNA sequencing, also called as first generation DNA sequencing method, and it was introduced by the Sanger group, Frederick Sanger, in University of Cambridge in UK in 1977, and on the basis of his contribution, he received a Nobel Prize in chemistry in 1980, and genome sequencing using Sanger sequencing method. This is the principle. These are the basically steps, not the principle, sorry. These are the steps or pathway for DNA sequencing. So what we do in genome level DNA sequencing, we take the DNA, purify the DNA from the biological sample, purify the DNA from the cellular nucleus, and then after purification, we cleave DNA or do the DNA fragmentation so that we can have smaller pieces of DNA, because we know that the DNA molecule is normally very long. Millions of DNA sequences are million of nucleotides long DNA sequences. So it is better to cleave DNA, longer DNA molecule into smaller pieces. So DNA fragmentation is first step during the DNA sequencing, during genome sequencing. And after that, what we do, we basically clone the fragmented DNA. Each and every step, each and every piece of the DNA is cloned into the plasmid vector. Cloned into a plasmid vector using the genetic engineering cloning method, which we study in the genetic engineering course. And after that, the cycle sequencing reaction is carried out, and this cycle sequencing reaction has been described in the class last week in Sanger sequencing method. And after cycle sequencing reaction, when we have the DNA fragments of different lengths, all these DNA fragments are then separated by electrophoresis, and each that is the piece is separated. Each fragment of the DNA is separated as a result of cycle sequencing and electrophoresis, and these separation of the DNA molecule is read out using the fluorescent tags, which basically gives us the electrophotogram, which is something like this. This is the electrophotogram, which basically generated as a result of fluorescent tags reading by the after the electrophoresis of the products of cycle sequencing reaction. So this is how we determine the DNA sequence using Sanger sequencing method. Okay. Next is advantage and shortcomings of Sanger DNA sequencing. Sanger sequencing can be used in determining the sequence of complete genes, and it was also used for entire genome sequencing of different organisms during last 40 years, starting from 1977. Then the Sanger sequencing was involved in Human Genome Project, which was a multi-national project carried out by United States, several labs in USA and UK, and in several countries in Europe, as well as in China and Japan. That is, several countries carried out DNA sequencing of whole genome sequencing of human genome. And this project was completed officially in 2003. However, the draft of the genome sequencing was excuse me, okay. The draft was okay. So the draft of the genome sequence was completed in year 2000 at the turn of the century. Sanger-based DNA sequencing is considered as gold standard for DNA sequencing during last 30, 40 years because of the accurate base calling or the read length. Accurate base calling means that the sequencing is carried out very accurately with the longer read length of 700 up to 1000 base pairs can be sequenced at a time using Sanger's DNA sequencing method. However, DNA sequencing is prohibitively expensive and time consuming, and it cannot be used for routine sequencing of complete human genome in case of disease genomics and other applications. So because of this reason that we are not able to sequence the complete genomes of living organisms, including humans and other genomes, using Sanger sequencing method, because of the need. Another type of technique called next generation DNA sequencing was introduced in 2007-2008, approximately 12 years back from now, and that call is next generation DNA sequencing. Next generation DNA sequencing method can generate billions of base pairs at a time. Billions of base pairs at a time. Can generate giga bases of sequence data. Giga means 1 billion numbers. So during one run of a genome, one run of the next generation DNA sequencer, we can have billions of DNA sequences data in our computers so that we can analyze them. The new next generation DNA sequencing technologies are being used in many applications. For example, for whole genome sequencing, complete genome sequencing can be carried out by next generation DNA sequencing, which is different from Sanger sequencing. And if we are not interested in whole genome sequencing, if only we are interested in the exonic region which code for amino acids in proteins, which is called as exome, and if we want to sequence all of the coding region, which is also called as targeted sequencing, this targeted sequencing can also be carried out by next generation DNA sequencing. And if for example, if we are interested only in a group of gene, in a panel of gene, not many thousands of genes, not complete genome, we are not interested. For example, we are working on cancer, and in cancer there are, say, 100 genes are involved in cancer progression, and we want to sequence those 100 genes of a patient, of cancer patient, so we can do the gene panel sequencing. This is called as gene panel sequencing. It is also a targeted sequencing in which we are involved in only a specific type of region of DNA sequencing. Transcriptome analysis is also carried out by next generation DNA sequencing. What is transcriptome analysis? As we know that transcripts are the RNA molecule generated after the transcription process, in which genes are transcribed transcribed and RNA molecules are generated. So this RNA molecule are then sequenced. Although this RNA molecule is normally converted into cDNA, and then that cDNA is then sequenced, this type of sequencing method is called as transcriptome analysis. In this case, we then can carry out the sequencing of those RNA molecule which has been transcribed in the cell at that particular time. So it means that next generation sequencing is very interesting. Next generation sequencing is very useful. Next generation sequencing can do a lot of work for us. So what is next generation sequencing? Next generation sequencing is a paradigm shift in sequencing. is a paradigm shift in sequencing. It has paradigm shift. So it means that the sequencing principle as it was in the Sanger sequencing is now changed into, shifted into another and very different and another direction compared to the Sanger sequencing. Next generation sequencing can be described as non-Sanger based high throughput DNA sequencing technology. Non-Sanger based, of course, Sanger method is not involved over here, and it is high throughput. High throughput means that we can do sequencing, a lot of sequencing at a time, which was not possible in case of Sanger sequencing. In NGS or next generation sequencing, millions to billions of DNA molecules after DNA fragmentation. As I mentioned before, the genomic DNA is fragmented into pieces. So when you fragment the DNA molecule, so you can have hundreds of thousands or even millions of DNA sequences after fragmentation in the test tube. In one test tube, DNA is fragmented, and DNA now is fragmented in many pieces. And these pieces can be millions of pieces. And all these millions of pieces can be sequenced in parallel. All these millions of pieces can be sequenced in parallel, all together in one go, during one run of the machine, during one experiment. So millions of DNA molecules are there in one test tube, in one sample. After fragmentation of that longer genomic DNA molecule, all these sequences are sequenced together. It is a very important aspect of the NGS compared to Sanger sequencing, because in Sanger sequencing, after fragmentation, we separate the DNA molecule and sequence each and every molecule separately. So it needs sequence separation of DNA, and sequencing of DNA separately needs a lot of time, chemicals, resources, and technical know-how. But in case of NGS, all of the sequence DNA fragments are sequenced in parallel, in one go, in one test tube, in one sample. As a reason of the result is substantially more throughput. So we can have lot of DNA molecule sequence at a time, so lot of throughput. There is another very important aspect of the NGS is minimized the need for the fragment cloning method that are often used in Sanger sequencing of genomes. So that is Sanger sequencing of genome. During the Sanger sequencing of genome, it was almost necessary to clone the DNA fragments using genetic engineering method, which was another step. So now this step is skipped. So this step is no more required in genome sequencing that is Sanger sequencing method. Sanger sequencing method not required. So Sanger sequencing method is cost effective. It is very fast. You can get sequencing data in hours compared to weeks and months in case of Sanger sequencing. NGS, we can get data in hours. It is ultra high throughput, not high throughput, ultra throughput. Ultra throughput means that in less time, using less resources, we can get huge amount of sequencing data. It is cloning free. Cloning step is not required in NGS, which was mostly required in Sanger sequencing of genomes. However, there is a little bit problem with NGS that it gives us short reads compared to Sanger sequencing. Sanger sequencing reads are longer, 700, 800, 1000 base pairs. But in case of Sanger NGS sequencing, normally we get reads of about 100 base pair, 200 base pair, 250 base pair maximum generally. So this is one of the disadvantage of Sanger NGS compared to Sanger sequencing method. I think this is clear for you because I'm comparing the Sanger sequencing method with the next generation DNA sequencing. Okay. Now I would like to go to the next slide.
Sir,
Yes.
paradigm shift
Slide.
बता दें एक बार.
This is a comparison of the workflow of conventional versus second generation sequencing. Conventional over here mean the Sanger sequencing, and second generation mean the next generation, which we are currently using. So in the on the left, the panel or the workflow mentioned on the left hand side is Sanger sequencing workflow. On the right hand side is second generation NGS workflow. So this is Sanger, okay, sequencing method, and this is NGS. So what we do in Sanger sequencing method, as I mentioned before, normally for Sanger sequencing of the genomes, we normally do the fragmentation first, and after that, this is fragmentation over here, and after that, the second step after fragmentation is the cloning, and after cloning, I will mention about paradigm shift later on. After cloning, the cycle sequencing, which is basically the main idea behind the Sanger sequencing method, and after cycle sequencing, we do the electrophoresis of each and every reaction, and at the end we get the electrophoregram. Using that electrophoregram, we deduce the sequence of DNA from 5' to 3' direction. This one is the workflow for next generation DNA sequencing. So what we do, again, DNA fragmentation as we used to do in Sanger sequencing, but there is no cloning, and every DNA fragment is ligated with the adopter molecule. Adopter's DNA sequence, adopter molecules are basically DNA. A small double-stranded DNA molecule are basically synthesized artificially and attached with the DNA over here, as mentioned over. You see that on both sides of the fragmented DNA or both sides of the broken DNA from the genomic DNA, the adopter molecule are attached. And these adopter molecule are artificially synthesized, and we know the sequence of these adopter molecule. And the length of these adopter molecule are 8 to 10 to 12 base pair, double-stranded DNA molecule. And after that, these adopter molecule are then attached with the with a flow chip, a glass flow chip, and then the sequencing is carried out and read by the sequencing is determined by basically the image processing, by a capturing of image by CCD camera, modern CCD camera, which basically and then the signal from the CCD camera capture is then converted into the nucleotide sequence. So this is how a comparison can be carried out, in which mainly the cloning step is removed, and the and everything and the all of these sequencing of all fragments of DNA is being carried out simultaneously in parallel in one sample, in one run of the in one experiment. This which was not possible in case of Sanger sequencing. And this is how, after the DNA sequencing in next generation sequencing, the sequence is looks like. Say, for example, see that. So this is one read of DNA. This is another read of DNA. So these are different reads, sequences, which came as a result. This generated as a result of DNA sequencing using next generation DNA sequencing technology. There are several approaches for next generation DNA sequencing, but one of the approach which is widely used these days is basically incorporated in the called as Illumina sequencing technology, which the sequencing method adopted by the company called Illumina Incorporated, and this that is sequencing method is then adopted by Illumina and then commercialized by by different sequencing machine by Illumina Incorporated company, which is in United States. So what we do next generation DNA sequencing in Illumina sequencing method, we take the DNA as over here you see. We take the DNA and then we fragment the DNA. So DNA fragmentation. Okay, one DNA molecule is fragmented into 3 over here, one DNA, another DNA, and the third DNA. And because when DNA is fragmented, there is there are some many DNA molecules where there is single-stranded overhang. So in order to remove, what we do, we basically treat these fragmented DNA with different enzyme in order to remove the single-stranded overhangs. Now we have that is clean and repaired DNA molecules fragment as a result of fragmentation. Secondly, what we do, we basically attach the double-stranded adopter molecules with every fragmented and repaired DNA molecules in parallel, simultaneously, all together. No separation of the fragmented DNA is required over here. And after that, all these adopter ligated DNA is then attached on the surface of the chip, which is called as flow chip. And after that, after attachment with the flow chip, a hybridization process is occurred, in which the DNA molecules are hybridized with each other. And after that, the every DNA which is hybridized, which is attached on the flow cell, is then amplified using DNA polymerase, a sort of PCR. But all these hybridization or PCR is going on on immobilized DNA molecule on the chip. And then the reverse strand is removed, because they are double-stranded DNA molecule. So what we do, we removed one strand, another strand, the positive strand is still attached on the chip, on the flow chip. And then after that, we introduced all 4 nucleotides on the chip, and then on the basis of the DNA sequence, the nucleotides are attached. And when there is an attachment of nucleotide, a signal is emitted in a form of fluorescent light, which is basically captured by the CCD camera. So because 4 different nucleotides emit 4 different fluorescent signal, so the camera can capture different signal and can tell us that which type of nucleotide is attached at this time. On the basis of this, on the basis of the process of this signal, we can then come up with the sequence of the DNA molecule, which is basically attached on the chip. This slide is telling us about the workflow of DNA sequencing, starting from a sample from anywhere. It can be a clinical sample from a patient DNA, or from plant or bacteria or anything. And after that, we basically DNA is purified, extracted from the sample. For example, DNA is extracted from blood or from tissue of the patient, or from bacteria, and so on. And the important step is library preparation. Library preparation is basically end repair, as I mentioned before, and adopter ligation, and there are some other steps involved in library preparation. And after that, the sequencing is carried out in the sequencing machine normally. And after that, when the sequence data is generated, a lot of bioinformatics is involved in order to analyze the data. Okay. There are several DNA sequencing approaches are there, which and those DNA sequencing methods are commercialized by different companies. And one of the DNA sequencing approach was called as 454 pyrosequencing method. This method was also called as sequencing by ligation. Basically, they determine the sequence of DNA at the stage of ligation of the nucleotide with ongoing DNA molecule. This approach was marketed by a company called Roche in 2007. Another approach is called as Illumina sequencing. This sequencing, this sequencing method I just described in the previous slide. And this is sequencing. This type of sequencing can be characterized as sequencing by synthesis. Sequencing by synthesis. Okay. This method is commercialized by the company called Illumina. Okay. The company also called Illumina company. The third method is called as solid sequencing, or again, this is the principle was sequencing by ligation, but this solid machine was marketed by another company called ABI, Applied Biosystem. The name of ABI is changed to, because the ABI company has been purchased by Thermo Fisher now, but previously it was Applied Biosystem Incorporated. And another approach is called as ion torrent sequencing. Ion torrent sequencing is different from these mentioned above. And the third, another type of sequencing is called as smart sequencing method, which basically gives us longer read compared to Illumina sequencing. And very recently, nanopore sequencing has also been introduced. During this course and during this lecture, we are focusing on the Illumina sequencing carried out by Illumina machines. Somehow, the Illumina leads the race of next generation DNA sequencing technology. You see from this pie chart that more than 70% of the people all over the world are using Illumina instruments for NGS, for next generation DNA sequencing. It means that 3/4 of the users are using Illumina sequencing, and only 1/4 of the people all over the world are using other sequencing like Thermo Fisher or Roche or Pacific Biosciences. So we will be focusing on Illumina sequencing, as I mentioned before. Okay. And this is this method which I described is basically, this slide is describing the principle of Illumina based Illumina sequencing technology. Okay. So I think this is the time for the next lecture, inshallah, on Thursday. And we will discuss some application of this, some more aspect of NGS and Sanger sequencing and in their application in Sanger in in genomics. So I stop the recording.